Because string processing is so common in programs, it's used everywhere, whether you're storing information about items that you want to purchase online, or whether you're storing account numbers or passwords or somebody's name or information about somebody's grades on a transcript. All of that is character-based data. And so processing characters within a program as strings is really, really common. And Python realizes this and provides lots of helpful functions that we can use whenever we're processing string information in our program. Let's check out some of the helpful tools that Python provides. One thing Python allows us to do is access individual characters within a string. Sometimes you want to consider the value of a whole string, like in the password example above, but sometimes you might just want to look at a particular part of the string or a single character. Remember that Python stores a string as a list of characters, so the computer can figure out which character is stored in each individual position within that list. When it stores a string, it stores the collection of individual characters next to each other. So for example, if we were storing the name Smith in Python, it would be storing those individual characters in adjacent boxes right next to each other in the computer's memory. The position of the very first box would be position number 0. Remember, Python always starts numbering the index at 0. And then it would increase the index for each adjacent item by 1. The M is at index 1, the I is at index 2, the T is at index 3, and the H is at index 4. So if we wanted to know what's the first character of the last name, we could use this syntax. What's the character at my string last name at position 0? And Python would evaluate this expression on the right-hand side of the assignment operator, go to the last name variable and pull out the S, and then it would store that value, assign that value, capital S, to my variable called character. So if we printed out the value of character, it would print out an S. What if we wanted to print the character at position 2, the one in the middle of the list? How could we write that? We could write 2 steps. We could say character equals, and then last name at index 2, followed by a print statement. Print out the character. Or if we wanted to, we could just use a print statement to say print last name at index 2. In the second version, it wouldn't store the character from position 2 at anywhere. It wouldn't make a new variable and store the I inside it. It would just access that value within my list, that value at position 2, and then just immediately print it out to the screen. In general, if you want to access the character stored in a string at position X, you'd say whatever your identifier for your string is, and then square brackets with X, the position that you want to access in those square brackets. Another useful thing you can do in Python is access a range of character values within a string. Sometimes we call this slicing the string, meaning that we just take a piece of it so that we can use it in some kind of additional operation. In Python, we indicate the range of characters that we want to include within our slice by listing the first index that we want to include and then listing the index that's one larger than the last item that we want to include. So if we wanted to know what are the first 3 characters in last name, if we go up here, that's the SMI. We could say, give me the substring that starts at index 0 and ends before index 3. So remember, the last index included here is not going to be part of our slice. So when we say substring equals last name from index 0 to 3, the value of substring that it stores will be SMI. And because substring is also a string, it would really be storing these 3 characters in a new list where S is at index 0, M's at index 1, and I is at index 2. Another helpful string processing command is the length function. We can use that to find the length of a list. We can also use it to find the length of a string or the number of characters within a string. The general syntax for that is to use the len command with the identifier of our string variable in parentheses. That will return the number of characters within the string and store it in whatever variable you place on the left side of the assignment operator. So if, for example, if we were using our variable last name and it stores Smith, and we said number of characters equals len last name, what would the number of characters be equal to after we execute this command? It would be equal to 5 because the last name Smith has 5 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.